If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Other shows we have for you to enjoy at myclassicradio.net. The Avengers was most certainly not a household name in South Africa prior to the radio series. With no national television service until 1976, the mechanism simply was not present in the country to show television programs to mass audiences. While many other countries reveled in the filmed adventures of John Steed and company, South Africa was not equipped to join in the fun. The series took Britain by storm and made a major impression in the American markets, being that greatest of rarities, a British series given a network transmission slot. However, as a film series, rather than a videotaped one, The Avengers was able to gain a modicum of exposure in South Africa through film rentals. Come and listen at myclassicradio.net.
Dramas of the courts. We present the dramatic story of our courts, where daily the unbiased administration of justice is dealt to rich and poor alike. These dramatizations in fictionized form are typical of the human interest dramas that daily crowd our courts. Tonight, the cruise of the Castinet.
Gentlemen of the jury, the administration of good government is based on sound judicial system. In considering the case before you, weigh carefully all the evidence and be convinced beyond all reasonable doubt of the guilt or innocence of the accused before delivering your verdict.
The case of the people versus Thomas Penn.
This story, from the trial records of the United States grand jury history, is based upon fact, but names have been changed because some of the characters may still be living. The story begins in Boston, in the Circuit Court of the United States. With a relentless examination of the evidence, the District Attorney, Sherman Willis, is addressing the jury.
In this courtroom, you have seen a murderer. For everyone left alive aboard the sailing ship Castinet has appeared in this court to give evidence. The state contends that the murderer now stands there, beside the counsel for defense. You, as jury, have seen the whole ship's company. You must decide who was telling the truth and who was concealing guilt. I want you all to look at the men seated behind me, at the crew of the Castinet, at the man who is charged with this crime, and at the one passenger aboard that ship, James Lukes. I want you to remember the evidence of this man. I want you to see the three-masted barkentine as she sails through the night, her sails square-rigged against the dark sky. I want you to recollect the evidence of the passenger aboard.
My name is James Peter Lukes. I'm 23. I have a weak lung and I'm aboard this ship for my health. My health? That's rather funny. On this night, Monday, July the 13th, I retired to bed early, and because my door rattles, I've bolted it. I dimly hear Captain Nash come to his cabin, which is next to mine. Then I sleep. I can dimly hear the echoes of the sound that wakened me. It seems like the voice of the captain's wife, the only woman aboard. Then, another sound. Coming from the captain's cabin. I reach under my bunk for the revolver I have there in a case. Then I go to the door. A lamp glows in the chart room. The door of Captain Nash's cabin is open, and I see him sprawled in the doorway and bloodstains on the floor. I run to the door of Mrs. Nash's cabin to call her to aid her husband, but the murderer has been there too. That scream was her death cry.
Such was the discovery of the passenger. He investigated further and found the first mate also dead in his cabin. And then he knew, unmistakably, that aboard the Castinet in the ebbing hours of the first watch was a murdering maniac. With his revolver, he hastened up on deck and found the first mate, Thomas Han, walking the deck.
Mr. Han! Mr. Han!
Sir.
The captain has been murdered.
Captain murdered? No. No.
I'm going to wake Mason, the steward. You better come with me. Who's at the wheel?
Charles Jones. Look. Look there. Look. There's the axe that did it. There on the deck.
I can't see anything.
Here, under this plank.
What's all that noise there?
Oh, that's Mason. Oh, Mason, come forward.
Oh, it's you, Mr. Oakes. Didn't recognize you in the dark. What are you doing up? Hey, and what's the mate got that axe?
This is the axe that did it. This is the axe that killed the captain.
Killed the captain?
Yeah. And I am going to throw it overboard, or the murderer may use it against
No,
us.
Mr. Han, too late. You shouldn't have done that.
It's terrible. The poor captain. Who could have done it?
Whoever did it must be still aboard. We'll go forward and ask the watch. If Charlie Jones has been at the wheel all the time, he may have seen someone. The wheelhouse faces the hatchway over the cabin.
That's a good idea.
Oh, the poor captain. The poor captain.
For heaven's sake, brace up, Mr. Han.
But I'd have died for Captain Nash.
Charlie. Charlie Jones.
Aye.
Did you see anyone come up that companionway?
Can't see nothing in this darkness, so it's getting lighter now.
The captain and Mrs. Nash and the first mate have all been murdered.
Murdered? They have?
Yes.
The wheel, man, the wheel. You'll have her up into the wind.
Oh, what's to be done now?
Best call all the crew and tell them.
No. Wait till daylight.
Yeah, that might be best. We don't know who's a friend or who's a foe.
Members of the jury, picture that scene. The dawn coming up on that ill-fated ship, finding the crew assembled on deck to hear the dreadful news.
And if anyone knows anything about it, he should say so. Well, now then, we should take those bodies out of the cabins and throw them overboard.
Nay, that would be bad. Bodies must be taken in as evidence.
And we won't clean the cabin out either. Leave it as it is.
Well, then, what do we do with them?
We could put them in the lifeboat and cover it with canvas.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It'd be proper then to read a burial service.
Yeah. There's an organ below in the cabin, and...
All right. Let's get busy.
I'll get the sewing bag from the second mate's cabin. I've been a sailmaker in Liverpool, I have. I'll fix the sewing up.
Gentlemen of the jury, was there ever a stranger scene than this of the crew standing about the lifeboat while the order of the burial of the dead at sea was read? And what was the atmosphere which followed as the Castinet changed course for Halifax, when everyone aboard believed himself in danger, when each man except the murderer feared to sleep, when the fog came down about the ship, blanketing the sea, sealing her inside a threatening gray envelope? Uncertainty bred suspicion.
Mr. Luke, sir.
Yes?
Something I think you ought to know, sir. Charlie Jones, the new first mate, now that Mr. Hand's in command.
Well, what about Charlie Jones?
The night of the killing, he changed his clothes, put on old overalls.
Here he is. Mr. Jones!
What's it now? What's it now? More talk about murder? We've talked enough of it. Let's make port.
How can we in the fog?
The fog. Shutting us in. Aye. And those bodies in the lifeboat to bring home to us that the dead are still with us. That's enough on any man's mind, that is.
We'd better talk this over with Mr. Hand and the steward. Then maybe put Charlie Jones in irons.
Mr. Jones, come forward.
When he comes up the companionway, I'll grab him and you clap on the irons, Mr. Mate.
Then we'll have the murder.
We don't know that yet.
What do you want, Mr. Mate?
You!
What's this for?
We think maybe you killed those people.
Oh, no, sure, that's wrong. Send the mate away and I'll tell you for why.
I've no wish to hear. Take him down below.
Well, what have you to say, Charlie?
That night, when I was at the wheel, I heard a noise in the chart room. I looked down through the little window in the hatch of the aft house, and there I seen Mate Ann, striking at the captain.
What? Why didn't you say this before?
And have him kill me? I heard her shriek, Mrs. Nash, and the mate come up the companion. Holy mother, I was in terror of my life.
Mr. Lukes, if there's anything in this,
The mate should go in irons, too.
he threw away the axe and wanted to do away with the bodies.
Yeah.
And he talked a lot of wild talk. Best put the mate in irons for our own protection. We can't take any risks.
Alive! Alive on the port bow!
God be praised. Maybe it's a ship.
Or secure the mate first. Then we can talk about rescue. Down below with you, Mr. Jones. You stay in irons till we make port.
There's the mate. We've sighted a lighthouse. We're off Beaver Island.
Well, come with me, Mr. Mason. I'll take those spare irons. We're going to arrest the mate. We think he did the murders.
Mate Han?
Yes.
He was sitting on the aft house deck when I passed him.
You seize him from behind. I'll cover him with a revolver. You ready now?
Yes.
Oh, Mate Hand.
Aye.
Seize him back.
Damnation, what does this mean?
Charlie saw you kill the captain.
Ah, he could not have. I had nothing to do with it.
Hand him to the mainmast.
No, let me go.
If he's innocent, then the law will decide that when we make port.
No, no.
And I hope to heaven that soon, or we'll all be mad.
We will resume our story, The Cruise of the Castinet, in just a moment. But first, your announcer. We continue our story, The Cruise of the Castinet.
The First Circuit Court in Boston is in the last days of a trial which created extraordinary interest through the United States and became a crime extraordinary in the history of the sea. As the Castinet entered the harbor of Halifax, she towed a boat carrying the dead bodies of her captain, his wife, and his second officer, with her present commander and first officer in irons, and the rest of the crew in confusion and fear, half dead themselves from lack of sleep.
X, murder on the high seas, sensational sea killing. X men terrorizes brigantines. Paper, read all about it. X, read all about it.
And as the newspapers flared the story to the world, the case for the state was piloted forward by the district attorney.
I remind the jury that a grand jury found an indictment against Mate Han, but not against Charlie Jones, who has become a witness for the state. I remind you of the evidence of Charlie Jones, personal testimony, unshaken, damning.
I came to the wheel that night at 8 bells, 12 o'clock. I saw the mate walking the deck. I'd see him for a while, then he'd disappear into the darkness. Then he disappeared for a long time.
And is that when you heard something?
Yes. I heard a noise from the cabin. I looked through the window.
What did you see?
I saw the captain's cot upset. I saw a man's body on the floor. I could see someone standing over him, striking him.
And who was that someone?
Mate Han.
How did you recognize him?
He wore a hat with a hole cut out of the top. I'd seen him wear it before.
Thank you. Your Honors, I tender an affidavit which I've today received from the American consul in London. It encloses a statement from the Commissioner of Police in that city about the witness, Charlie Jones. I should like to read it to the jury, or part of it. Charles Jones is well known to us. He has been a hospital patient suffering from delusions, and during his treatment, when someone entered his room, he discharged a revolver, the shot going through a window. He had some money, and seemed to be abnormally afraid that someone was going to steal it. I put it to the witness. Is that document correct?
That was a long time ago, when I'd finished a long voyage to Liverpool. I was sick, and I had 50 golden sovereigns, and someone did try to steal them. Yes.
Your Honor, I urge that this document indicates the witness has a mania for persecution, that he could behave, in fact, as a homicidal maniac, alone of all on board the Castinet. He is capable of committing this crime. You heard the defense suggest that the witness Charlie Jones could have committed this crime. But the state corroborated the fact that Jones was on duty at the wheel of the Castinet at the time that the murders were committed. We have the evidence of expert witnesses that he could not have left the wheel of the ship. I refer to the evidence of Captain Williamson of the Department of Navigation.
I've been at sea 52 years. Crossed the equator 70 times. Sailed in a brigantine and, oh, damn it, about every other kind of vessel.
In case the man at the wheel leaves his post, or if the wheel were lashed for, say, 10 minutes, what would happen to a ship in the circumstances described, Captain?
Well, sailing 8 knots in a fresh breeze with the sea running, the ship would have fallen off in less than a minute. Or else come up into the wind with her sails flapping and downward wakened every self-respecting sailor aboard, sir.
And what is the duty of the officer in charge of the watch, in this case, Mate Han, if the wheelman deserts his post?
To knock him down, sir. Knock him down.
You heard, as I said, this expert evidence. You heard the testimony of the detective Richard Marks, who questioned Mate Han in custody. You heard him tell us that he spoke to the mate in these words.
Han, we're trying to unravel this horrible mystery. Your position is an awkward one. Charlie Jones has said he saw you do the murder.
He couldn't have seen me.
He states he was at the wheel.
Well, he couldn't see me from there. I think, and many others aboard the ship think the same, that Charlie Jones did it himself. Why should I want to do in the captain?
You once boasted to a man named Nicholas, first mate of the schooner White Bird, that it would be easy to kill the ship's captain, seize the ship, and sell it to the insurgents of the rebellion in Cuba. You were second mate on that ship at the time.
Nicholas is talking to his hat. I never said such a thing to anybody. I don't know anything about those murders, nothing at all.
You heard this testimony from the police witness, gentlemen. And then you heard from Mate Han himself. It's always a strong point for the defense when an accused person takes the witness stand in his own defense. We saw this man walk resolutely up the steps. And doubtless you wondered how a man charged with these diabolical crimes would react to questioning. Wouldn't you expect to find him plausible, cunning, calculating in all his replies? Very well, then, let us examine those replies. I asked him, you remember, many questions. But it was left to my learned friend of the defense to explain the meaning of the prisoner's answers.
Mr. Han, at 2 a.m. on the morning of July 14, you said you saw the man named Charlie Jones at the missing peak jig, some distance from the wheel.
Yeah. I saw him at the wheel putting on his slippers.
You mean he'd been walking about in his stocking feet?
Yeah. Then later on, I saw Mr. Lukes, the passenger, come up the companionway with a revolver. Then we went down to the cabin and found the captain.
The state has made much of the fact that you seemed in a kind of hysterical condition.
Well, it was the sight in the cabins. I was upset.
Naturally. A most affecting sight.
You see, the captain and I, we belong to the same Masonic fraternity. I would have died for him.
The accused's offer has come somewhat late.
Did you ever quarrel with Captain Nash?
No, we got on very well.
And the captain's wife?
I hardly spoke to her.
I would like to ask you a question about the axe which was thrown overboard. Why did you dispose of it?
Why? Because Mr. Lukes, the passenger, said I should.
You've already heard him testify it was your suggestion.
The poor young fellow, he was very upset and didn't know very well what he was doing. You see, we'd all just, looked on a terrible sight. None of us wanted to appear too smart. Each of us was trying not to show he suspected the other. And when Mr. Luke said, throw it away, well, I obeyed him.
Were you wearing the same clothes from 12 o'clock onwards until daylight?
Yeah, I did not change them.
Did anyone else change clothes?
Yeah, Charlie Jones. Leifrick and Blumgorn saw him.
There were no bloodstains whatever on your clothes.
No.
Did you see any on Charlie Jones' clothes?
Yeah.
Objection! Your Honors, it's already been shown that Jones's clothes were bloodstained, but only after he'd sewn the bodies into canvas for placing in the lifeboat.
I don't need the question. Mate Han, you are on oath. Will you swear that you did not commit any or all of these murders with which you were charged?
I swear I am innocent.
Thank you. Your Honors, the defense rests its case.
Mate Han, did you make this statement to Rufus Nicholas aboard the Whitebird schooner 16 days before you sailed with Captain Nash of the Castinet?
What statement?
If you don't kill this particular captain, let us go aboard a Norwegian vessel where they have fewer men before the mast. Give the crew knockout drops, then kill the captain, and the crew will then obey our orders. Well?
No, of course I did not.
But you were aboard the Whitebird before you joined the crew of the Castinet.
Yeah, I was aboard the Whitebird.
Your Honors, unless this Rufus Nicholas can be produced in court, this kind of evidence is objectionable.
Stand.
Mate Han, I've one last question to ask you. Was it not your intention, in killing Captain Nash, his wife, and the first mate, to pirate the Castinet?
No! I did not touch the captain or his wife or the mate.
Gentlemen, we will probably never know precisely what happened in the cabin of the Castinet on that fateful watch. The defense would have you believe that a homicidal maniac was responsible for the brutal crimes committed, Charlie Jones. But the state feels, and with good reason, that a more cold and cunning mind was responsible for these merciless killings. That one man had opportunity and a motive, and that man is Mate Han.
Jury still out?
Yeah. It said they're taking their 50th ballot.
Any news?
None. Feel confident, Mr. Willis?
Oh, I never feel confident of anything, gentlemen. And this is a case where there's only one example of direct testimony from Charlie Jones. And the defense has suggested he's not responsible for his actions.
Jury's coming back. Where's the district attorney?
Here. Thomas Hand, you have been found guilty by a jury of your fellow citizens. Have you anything to say before passing sentence upon you?
Your Honor, I am innocent of this crime.
We do not see how any intelligent, conscientious, and painstaking jury, having listened to the whole trial and having seen the various witnesses, could have reached any different verdict. It is ordered that the verdict of the jury be confirmed.
Mate Thomas Hand was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment, 5 years for each crime. The story of the Castinet found its way into many works of fiction. And of the Castinet herself, well, she became a lady with a past. And under another name ended her life in the Mediterranean, victim of a German torpedo, as violently as the crimes committed aboard her.
In a moment, I'll return to give you further news of this series. But first, your announcer.
The court is adjourned till next week.
Be listening next week, same time, same station, when we present another real-life story in Dramas of the Court. This feature is a Grace Gibson radio production, produced by Reg Johnston and written by Maxwell Dunn.